For 2 seconds, Bumpy Johnson and Malcolm X locked eyes across a crowded room. No words, no movement, just two men who understood each other completely. It was February 21st, 1965, and 400 people had no idea what was about to happen. But Bumpy knew. A man in the crowd was about to make history in the deadliest way possible. Thomas Hagen, a cold-blooded enforcer of the Nation of Islam, was standing up, shotgun sliding from under his coat, ready to kill. And in those moments, the fate of one of the greatest leaders of Harlem hung on a single razor-sharp decision. What would you do if you had 30 seconds to stop a killer from escaping without taking an innocent life? Could you make a choice faster than the blink of an eye, knowing that one wrong move could destroy not just a man, but a family, a community, a legacy? Bumpy Johnson wasn't just any man. He was Harlem's shadow king, a legend in the streets, a man whose reputation made even the toughest fear to cross him. He had seen murder, betrayal, and war in every alley. And yet that day, he faced a moral test unlike any other. One where bullets, innocence, and principle collided in a deadly ballet. And Malcolm X, the man who had spent his life preaching courage, conviction, and standing tall, was about to walk into the eye of a storm, a room filled with hundreds of souls, and one man whose mission was simple: kill him. What happened next would not just shock Harlem, it would rewrite the definition of honor, loyalty, and impossible choices. 3 days earlier, Malcolm X's house in Queens exploded. Molotov cocktails smashed through the bedroom window, flames licking the walls, smoke curling into the freezing February night. His wife Betty and their 4 daughters barely escaped, coughing, covered in soot, clutching each other for dear life. The oldest was just 6 years old, trembling in her nightgown on the icy street, watching the home they had built together burn to ashes. Malcolm X knew immediately who was behind it. The very men he had once called brothers, enforcers of the Nation of Islam, loyal to Elijah Muhammad, men he had trusted with his life, men who now saw him as a threat, an enemy for speaking truth, for leaving silence behind, for daring to challenge the system they had built. The betrayal cut deeper than any bullet could. But in Harlem, shadows moved differently. Bumpy Johnson, the city's most feared enforcer, walked through the streets like a ghost, his tailored suit sharp, fedora angled low, a man whose reputation made even the toughest cross the street when they saw him. He didn't answer calls or send flowers. He just arrived at Columbia Presbyterian Hospital at dawn, found Malcolm in the waiting room, exhausted, traumatized, silently watching doctors check his daughters for smoke inhalation. Bumpy didn't say hello, didn't ask questions. He simply leaned in, eyes locked on Malcolm. "Give me 48 hours, he said, his voice quiet, deadly certain. "The men who did this won't see Wednesday." Malcolm looked up, weary, haunted by the flames and the screams. "If you do that," he said slowly, voice tight, "I become everything they say I am, a hypocrite hiding behind a gangster's gun. You'd be alive. I'd be dead inside." Malcolm's words weren't just hesitation. They were a philosophy. 10 years spent preaching that violence breeds violence, that the cycle must be broken, that one life should never outweigh another. And yet, Bumpy Johnson wasn't asking for theory. He was asking for survival, for justice, for the lives of a man's family. Malcolm turned to meet his gaze, voice trembling slightly but firm. "I can't abandon that principle just because I'm scared. I die standing." Bumpy's jaw tightened. The man hated the answer, but he respected it. Then he made another offer, a lifeline. "Let me protect you 24/7, my best men, armed, watching." Malcolm shook his head. "You're a dead man, Bumpy. You know that." "Maybe," Bumpy replied. 3 days. I'm giving you 3 days to change your mind." Malcolm smiled faintly, resolute. "I won't." The promise hung in the air, a delicate balance of loyalty, honor, and inevitable violence. Harlem itself seemed to hold its breath, because when these two forces collided, Malcolm X's uncompromising principles and Bumpy Johnson's lethal efficiency, history was about to witness a choice no man would forget. February 21st, 1965. The Audubon Ballroom in Harlem was filling fast. 400 people packed the room, families, students, old women who had known Malcolm since he was a street hustler. young men who saw him as the voice of a new America. The air was thick with anticipation, the scent of winter coats, polished shoes, and faint perfume mingling with the tension that hummed like electricity through the crowd. Every eye was on the stage, every ear straining for Malcolm's voice, yet one man in the room, Bumpy Johnson, wasn't focused on applause. He was focused on survival, on calculations, angles, timing, and the three men who shouldn't even be there. At the front, 2 rows apart, sat the unknown threats, still, silent, waiting, blending in with the excited congregation, pretending to be just another listener. The one in the center of row 3 was Thomas Hagen, Nation of Islam enforcer, loyal to a fanatical cause. Eyes cold, face unreadable, a man who had already decided to kill. Beside him, 2 others, backup, scanning, waiting, their hands inside coats, weapons ready, the tension invisible but heavy. Bumpy's gaze locked on them. Trained, steady, measuring distance, speed, exits. Bumpy moved like a shadow along the left pillar, row 5, not drawing attention, yet every movement calculated, his eyes constantly shifting, scanning every face, every hand, every exit. He knew the stakes, the lives that depended on his silence and timing. His hand brushed the .38 revolver under his jacket, felt the weight, the cold steel against his palm. He could walk down that short aisle now. 2 quick shots, and Hagen and his backup would be dead before they hit the floor. But 400 witnesses, panic, innocent people crushed. Malcolm would just die tomorrow instead. You can't stop fanatics by killing one. You have to cut out the whole infection. So Bumpy stood by the pillar, watched, waited. Children sat in the aisles, unaware of the danger that hung over them like a storm cloud. One little girl, maybe 6 years old, brown dress, pigtails tied with white ribbons, had climbed onto a chair, leaning forward into the aisle, trying to see the commotion from the back, her tiny hands gripping the seat, innocent, oblivious, exactly where a bullet could have struck. Bumpy's eyes flicked to her instinctively, a flash of clarity amid chaos. Any action now could end her life, and he would never allow that. The moderator's voice cut through the room. Brothers and sisters, I present to you Malcolm X. Applause erupted, clapping, shouting, excitement. Malcolm walked onto the stage in a simple dark suit, no security, no bodyguards, just a man and his message. The room held its breath. Bumpy's eyes never left Hagen. The killer shifted slightly, hand moving inside his coat, and then a distraction. Someone in the middle section shouted. A scuffle. Attention diverted. The moment Hagen had been waiting for, Bumpy's muscles tightened, instincts screaming, his mind calculating, angles, distance, people in the line of fire. The little girl in her brown dress still leaned into the aisle. Perfect timing would have been deadly if he had acted now. He couldn't make a mistake, couldn't risk innocent life for the principle of stopping a killer. The room was a maze. Rows of chairs, bodies, panic waiting to erupt. Every second stretched like hours, and then the tension snapped. The first movement, the first sound, the beginning of chaos. But Bumpy stayed frozen, calm in the storm, scanning, calculating. The little girl, the crowd, the gun. He knew he had to wait, not just for himself, not just for Malcolm, but for history itself. Every heartbeat, every breath, every step counted. The Audubon Ballroom had become a stage of invisible battles, between principle and action, between life and death. Bumpy Johnson stood silent, a man prepared to act, but also prepared to honor a choice bigger than bullets, bigger than vengeance. The storm was about to hit, and only he could navigate it. The moment came faster than anyone expected. A shout, a movement, and then the shotgun appeared. Thomas Hagen stood, coat falling open, weapon raised. The blast ripped through the ballroom, deafening. Smoke and confusion erupted instantly. Screams, people diving under chairs, mothers throwing themselves over their children. Bullets tore through the air, echoing off the walls. Malcolm X stumbled backward, clutching his chest, the crimson spreading across his dark suit. Bumpy's instincts screamed, every fiber of him wanted to act. The .38 revolver in his hand, his training, his life spent in violence. He could take 2 steps, fire 2 shots, and the man who had just killed would be dead. But he froze. 400 innocent lives around him, panicked, screaming, falling, and one little girl, brown dress, white ribbons in her pigtails, leaning into the aisle, directly in the path of his bullet if he fired. Bumpy's jaw clenched. He knew he could not risk it. Then Bumpy saw her, the little girl, white ribbons in her pigtails, directly between him and Hagen. If he fired now at that downward angle, he couldn't miss her. Bumpy's jaw clenched. He stepped left, blocked by people standing. Right. Same problem. Malcolm turned, toward Bumpy. For 2 seconds that felt like hours, their eyes met. In that frozen moment, Malcolm understood everything. He saw the gun in Bumpy's hand, the desperation in his face, the impossible calculation of protecting the innocent while stopping a killer. He saw the question Bumpy couldn't speak. Is your life worth hers? Malcolm's face, calm and resolute amid chaos, mouthed 3 words. I die standing. The words hit Bumpy like a punch, the man standing before him, a friend, a hero, choosing principle over survival, choosing to fall rather than let fear dictate his actions. Bumpy's finger froze on the trigger, the moral weight of every life in the room pressing down on him. The crowd surged in panic, chairs overturned, people screaming, dodging bullets. The second wave of attackers moved in, pistols drawn, firing indiscriminately. Malcolm tried to rise, staggered, but the chaos carried him back. 16 bullets found him. Every shot a reminder of the world's cruelty, every scream a reminder of what was at stake. Bumpy's eyes tracked Hagen as he tried to flee, but still he could not fire. Not yet, not with the innocent between him and the killer. His mind worked faster than the eye could follow, calculating distance, trajectory, angles, collateral damage. He could take a shot now, or wait and prevent more harm. Choose carefully, honor his promise, and preserve what little justice could be salvaged. Time slowed. Every heartbeat echoed like a drum. Bumpy shifted slightly, keeping Hagen in view, keeping the girl safe, keeping Malcolm's principles alive. He could feel the crowd's fear, smell the gunpowder, hear the panicked footsteps. Every second stretched into eternity. His training, his experience, every street fight, every betrayal in Harlem, all of it leading to this one choice. Malcolm lay bleeding, struggling to stay upright, while Bumpy's mind raced. I cannot kill him, he told himself silently. Not like this, not in front of innocents, not today. His eyes flicked to the girl, still leaning forward, still innocent, still unaware of the world's darkness. And Malcolm, even now, still conscious of his surroundings, still aware of Bumpy, still choosing to stand, even as the bullets tore through him. Then the room became a blur, sounds overlapping, gunfire, screams, chaos, but Bumpy remained focused, like a predator in a storm. His mission now was clear: stop the killer from escaping, keep him alive to face justice, honor Malcolm's choice, and survive the madness. He waited, breathing slowly, every movement calculated, every step measured. Amid the smoke and blood, amid the screams and overturned chairs, Bumpy saw the moment. Hagen running, desperate, shotgun abandoned, a chance, a narrow window, 15 feet, 10, 5, 30 seconds from freedom. Bumpy lunged, precise, controlled, silent, and the deadly calculus shifted. Now the choice was no longer whether to kill, but how to stop a killer without adding more blood to the floor.